There it is.
We have people that have Are we ready to get into the commissioner's budgets?
I got a thing too.
Okay, go ahead, Gary.
Okay. My stuff's a little out of order because I started writing notes down way back. I'm just gonna go down through the list of things I made myself, note or two. When it comes to this stuff, there will be nobody more sensitive to that, in my opinion, than John Fry, because he's been several miles. But my concern is throwing rocks into soybeans that they did, let's say, went through there 2 weeks ago, and now combines are rolling and picking up rocks the size of your head, running through combines, potentially doing millions of dollars damage. And plus the time factor. Because time's of essence right now. So that kind of has to be done in a timely manner. Maybe in stocks rather than soybeans. Memorial Bridge, I'm not sure I understand all that, and that's a big project, and it needs lots of talk. And I think we need lots of public meetings about that, give people a chance to talk. Is there going to be a city participation in that?
Funding that's in that is the county doing the whole project. So, you know, honestly, the responsibility is the county, is the bridge, the road, could be the city. It's been the discussion in the past, but that's funding the whole project. So, you know, we are meeting with, actually meeting with Mayor Martin. And, because, you know, there's a lot of things got to happen in that whole big picture plan. I mean, NDOT's got to come through, you know, the city's got to come. I mean, well, if you don't have that out there, you can't start, well, you know, prioritizing.
I think this shows good judgment on the council, on the commissioner's part, to hire somebody like Jim to take a look at this stuff and put it down on paper and say, here's a plan. You may not like it, you may think it's too costly, needs to be more robust, whatever, but the idea is, here's a big plan. Here's a big overall plan that we can all kind of get our heads around what's going on. And so, you know, I think that's great that we're doing that, and it's showing that we've got an eye towards the future. Jeff's doing a great job here. I think this would not even be discussed. It would have been a moot point back hours ago had Jeff not had what he's got to be able to show this council. If I have it understanding correctly, that you put this finance together and it uses no county general money whatsoever on this fund, with the exception of, and everybody should understand, $1 put into Cume Bridge is $1 less than county general can use. They share tax revenue. You correct me if I'm wrong, Jeff, but if you put $1 million into Cume Bridge, that's $1 million county general can't use for other expenses. And it's a give and take with the commissioners, because roads are important. That's what government does, is build roads and keep maintaining roads. So there's got to be a balance there, because we've got other county things going on, like software, like employment, those kinds of things. But I'm really surprised at how far our dollars are going to go towards this plan. Again, it would have been a moot point, this discussion, had you not done this. So I think that shows we're doing what we need to do. Put this sign back up, and I've read this kind of thing for years. It concerns me, because if you didn't look at, for lack of better words, the undesirable element that's moved into our county, we may be in the red. And I don't know if anybody's paying attention, but we're spending a few dollars on schools. And it would be a shame to have empty schools and have millions upon millions of dollars invested in schools. You can like what we're spending for schools or not like it, think it's good or bad. The fact is a reality. And to not have kids to go to them would just be a sin. So I'm interested really to get this county growing. although I've asked this question many times, I've asked Jeff this question, I've asked several engineers that's helping us with gross. When you look at that map and you see, and I'm in, more pockets, you have to pay less tax dollars theoretically. But Boone County's taxes are way higher than ours. Tippecanoe County's way higher than ours. Putnam County's about the same. So there's a balance there between growth and high taxes. And I don't want to get into the high taxes bracket. I like the idea of growth, but I don't want to get into the high taxes bracket. And I don't know where that line is, and I haven't had anybody explain it to me. So that's a big concern of mine as we go through this thing. Another concern, and I think Commissioner Bane kind of addressed this, the highway's talking about several more pieces of equipment that are going to be needed. That comes into labor force, being able to have the people to utilize that. I will make sure that in his budget he has labor sufficient to use this equipment, because it doesn't seem prudent to have 3 more trucks and no drivers, or we have ditch equipment and trucks got to set and we can't get truck driving jobs done because we're running the ditch equipment. And you know more about that than I do. But that was a concern when I put this stuff down. Those are the things that really concern me. Again, I was surprised at how far our dollars are going to go in working with these projects. And my big concern is this cost of this memorial project, for lack of a better word. And I'd like to see some other alternative, some other thing and say, we could do this, but this is better because. I think that would be good, just good research. Other than that, I just want to work through where we're at with this budget and get it all done. Then we can go from there.
And you're right, we're not asking for more money than what the budget's in, but, the revenue. And so, how we prioritize it is the difference, I think, in the approach going forward, just like you said. And there's some things that we push back because we don't have the funding. And, you can't do everything, And so that's the approach we're taking today, and not just, the phone never stops ringing, and we can get complaints, all the time about things, and we've just chased our tail forever. And the only way you're going to have a long-term, is to have a long-term approach to fixing this right and doing it, or you're always going to be chasing your tail. I appreciate that, Gary. We're working at it. You can see we are.
Yeah, kind of put that tail on Gary here. Years ago, the council gave the highway $1 million a year. First year, I think I voted for it, and then I saw what they were doing with it, and I quit voting for it. They still got it, but one no vote doesn't always stop something. But the reason I quit is because they were chip and sealing, like Jim said, a little thin layer of oil and some stone on a gravel road, and that was not money well spent. But by golly, they were getting 75 to 100 miles of road done a year. That was a good campaign thing to run on, I guess. But anyway, I guess why I said all that to say this, if we could afford to give county general money to the highway, I wouldn't mind doing that if the priorities were right. And I already told you what the priorities are, in my opinion. You got citizens all over the county that could give a hoot about Memorial Drive being expanded, because the roads they drive on every day just shake their eye teeth out. And I live on one of those roads, and I got to travel on it farther since the bridge is out on 47 North. I keep hoping they'll get that done one of these days. But anyway, that's where I'm at on all this. The priorities, I'm with Gary on the Memorial Bridge. That's not a priority to me, even though it's close to where I live. A higher to me, then that is 74 to 47 interchange. But state told us that that was never gonna happen. Maybe we need to just pound on a little more for that. And I don't really want that being in my neighborhood. But I think it would be best for the people of the county if that were to happen. More so than a Memorial Drive extension. That's just the way I'm seeing it. Like I said, I'm not gonna promise you any county general money until, the priorities are get these roads up into shape where they can be driven on smoothly, I guess. Anyway, anybody else got anything before we get into county general stuff?
I just want to say that we're looking short term, we're looking present, and we're trying to look long term. We can't eliminate the long term thinking. The Memorial Bridge, if you look at the thing that Jeff put together, is unfunded 2024, 2025, something like that. I don't have the paper now, but so if there's a better idea comes along, all we're out right now is $75,000 to do the study that we signed a contract 3 or 4 months ago with an engineering firm to do the further analysis and let us know. So if it comes back and says it's not a good idea, then we'll stop, I guess, at that point. But we can't just think about today, or we're going to find ourselves, like John said, we're just chasing our tail. I got 3 phone calls last week about a visibility problem out here on the old Darlington Road. You can't imagine how many calls these people get every day about some little thing that's really not important to us in the big picture, but it is important to those people who have to pull out of their driveway every morning or every evening or 3 to 4 times a day. It becomes an issue. So we have to send a trimming crew out there to do away with some brush. Brush is another big problem in this county. I mean, we've got overgrown roadsides with trees and everything else. So the commissioners are trying to do our best, along with the highway department and Jim as the county engineer, to put together somewhat of a long-term practical plan that will be financially prudent as well. So I just hate to see us use Memorial Drive as an excuse not to put more money into highway if in fact the money were there, because you don't like the idea. Well, it's 2024, 2025, I'm not even going to be here on this board at that time. So someone else will be worrying about it at that stage of the game. So I guess if you have any particular questions about anything in the budget, I'd like to get on with just whatever you need to look at, and then let's get out of here.
I think everybody got a copy of the commissioner's budget. It's a revised, I guess, but a few minutes to look at it if you want to. The question I ask every year on this is the Social Security, did it take into account any raises? And of course, nobody knows what the raises are yet, but we can adjust that, I guess, as we need to when we find out what the total salary is going to be.
The easy answer is no, it's the same as last year.
Okay. Okay.
I do have a.
Of course, they won't have any idea until Gary makes his report. They won't have any idea until of that, so
Right,
that's gonna be our fault.
right. Yes, Jim?
I was just gonna say the IRBS committee has already looked at that, and what they're proposing to do with salaries, they've already included all of the fringe benefit calculations as well.
Okay. Well, that's a top-notch crew that got on that IRBS committee. I really appreciate the work they've done on that.
That's not reflected.
That's your Gary man.
No, that's what I'm.
Yeah, it's not reflected in here, the question.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And the HRAs, are we still giving them out monthly instead of one
By payroll.
per
Or
payroll?
no, health savings accounts, payments go out with each payroll.
Okay. It's
Health
not-
reimbursement accounts are on an as qualifying basis.
Right. See, the attorney fees are still astronomically high. And I did look at how much we spent this year. In 17, we spent 102,000. Looks like Wabash Valley went up again, and that's state mandated what that is. Making any progress?
You know what, yes, that's the biggest boardroom table I think I've ever seen in my life.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it is, yeah. You know, that board it's hard to turn a ship that big, you know, but believe it or not, I think there's some movement there. I think the state's pushing mental health providers to, you know, this opioid epidemic is unbelievable. And that's a lot of mental, you know, contributes to that whole issue. And so, yeah, you know, honestly, we all know we got big problems there, but there's a couple, 3 different fixes for that opioid epidemic. And, you know, right now, initially, we've got to save people's lives, you know, even if we do get our long-term fix in place. And so hopefully, you know, we can continue to get that ship turned around. And it is, the state's helping. But, you know, if we're not getting the services we need for mental health to protect our citizens, that's something we need to consider funding at a higher level than what we're paying Wabash Valley, in my opinion. If we need another $200,000 worth of services for mental health and our citizens to save people's lives today, then we need to consider that in our budget process, because it's a big deal, and it's going to take a while for Wabash Valley and these mental health providers to get to a place we need to do that. So, I'm not saying that it's not something we'll end up spending more money on than what we're paying them down the road.
Does everybody have enough time to look at it and have questions? Okay, Gary?
When does our insurance discussion come up again? Hopefully after the first of the year.
When you're not here? Is that what you're hoping for?
The health insurance?
Yeah.
It's actually going to be coming up real soon. You're going to be here, aren't you lucky?
Yeah, it renews in August, September, so that time frame.
Actually, we're in the process of setting up the meeting with them right now, so they can give us the elements where we're at, where what they thought, and what's looking forward.
So is this the fun, this cost this year, is this the final cost for this year or for next year? Well, wait a minute, I can't even find it now. Yeah. 995,000. Is that projected for
19.
next year?
Yes.
While we're talking about health insurance, I've talked to a couple of you guys about the concept, and I know we've got a go-between for health insurance, and we're trying to put more self-insured. But it seems to me, and I have a little bit of information about it, that we've got a hospital that absorbs all of our community money for ambulance, and they all go there. All this stuff, they take advantage of and pay no tax. And it looks to me that they could become a partner with the local government. They already partner with the federal government, and they charge the federal government the lowest rate that they can charge, goes to the federal government in Medicare, Medicaid pay. There's no reason why we can't get a close to rate for that, for all the government entities in the county, and let them become a partner. And I think that ought to be explored, that and the other two hospital medical care providers, so that we can get a better rate from the local medical care providers in this county, and it does them good because they have more customers, and it helps the county insurance costs. I mean, I don't know what the difference is between a Medicare rate for a given procedure or test versus what we have to pay, but I'm going to say that there's a huge percentage difference. And we ought to be able to get near Medicare. And I've got it on pretty good authority that that's available, given talking to the right people. And if one will do it, then you got competition with the other two trying to keep in step. And I'm not worried about whether they're making money or not. It looks like they're building and expanding and doing okay. So I'm not gonna worry about that. I care about the taxpayer and what it costs the taxpayer. So that being said, I think that ought to be in the mix. I've approached a couple of you about it, and I think it's important. We ought to look into that. Back to the budget, I wanted to talk, on the second page of this budget, I see contractual services, and it goes up $90,000, and is that this road funding that we're talking about? Are those engineering contracts and
Everything that I went through, that whole thing is laid out there, that's the help
Okay.
that we've had.
So this just says contractual services and it's asterisk, but I don't see any explanation anywhere. Jeff, do you know anything about that? I mean, this is a general fund expense, and that's a pretty significant, went from 10 to 100,000. That's what that's all about.
We had 10 in there this year, and we did it as, I can't remember exactly what it was
Well,
like.
I would guess there's obviously something you guys are planning on doing, because you've only spent $5,000 on that land today, for 6 months.
Well, we spent more than the 10, I think, honestly. It's just a timing thing as far as being on that. So she's been moving money around in there to get, I don't know if that's legal to say. Should I be saying that?
I haven't moved anything.
She can't hear me good. So no, yeah, that's the thing. Everything that I gave you a talk about is exactly what we're doing with that money. We just never had specifically itemized it.
Well, the difference being, this talk about this, and with Jeff's presentation, didn't have anything to do with county general money. If this is $90,000 out of county general, which leads me to believe it's something different from what's on this road.
Yeah, our budget's nothing to do with the road.
Yeah. So I
That's
was just
everything else
asking
that I thought.
why we're going up 90% in contractual services. Commission. That was the question.
to do exactly what I just explained to you, to continue doing what we've done today. That's what we're doing. And that's why I laid it out there, because I assumed that would be a question. Why we hired a financial advisor, why we hired a planner, why we hired a economic development, all this, financial help, that kind of stuff.
I guess when I saw that increase, I noticed that you had bids out to do some hauling of dirt and whatever, erosion control at landfill. I didn't know if that was a part of that or not, because I couldn't find any place in the current budget where we were gonna pay
I
anything to do that.
know, we had to rob Peter to pay Paul to do that too. I do have $100,000 in there for landfill reclamation. Just the way it looks right now, you're talking about a $500,000 project overall to totally reclaim the landfill. The agreement today, the city pays half of that.
Explain reclaim landfill.
Okay, so the landfill is a living organism, if you want to think of that. When you close a landfill, it's a 30-year cycle, and INDOT, or IDEM, approaches it the same way, that you have the first 10 years, you have the trash is literally decomposing and creating gas, and then the next 10 years that starts going, you start getting starts subsiding, and then as things subsided, the pockets come down. Where you in a plan to close the landfill, you should be continuing to add dirt to those subsiding areas to keep that, because our landfill was closed appropriately. It has a 2-foot cap on top of it. It was absolutely closed appropriately. But what's not happened is continuing to keep those pockets up and keep that crown. And when you have a crown, the water runs off. Well, what's happened is the water now is in ponds, and that gives that an opportunity to percolate down into that trash, and then it comes out seeps. And the last 3 years there hadn't been well water testing out there, and there are well tested test wells out there. But we've got that back on process now. So, that whole reclamation process of getting that crown back, it should be done settling. It'll move a little. I'm not saying it won't, but all the engineers I've talked to in that is keep that crown on it. So when you do that, because it's been 34 years now, I think 35 years since it was closed. When you do that, that's they call it brown space. It's not hazardous, but it's not and now you have some opportunities to utilize it. There's 55 acres there. You can plant the warm season grasses or the grass out there. You can put walk paths. You can put dog walk parks. Everybody's looking for dog walk parks today. And you look at you throw the Memorial Drive Bridge in there, and that thing's designed today with pedestrian traffic across, and it's connecting the north side and all the population up there with that the Boys and Girls Clubs right there. So there are a lot of opportunities to turn that, and there are grants to do that as well. To turn grounds in. So that's just not been done, and that's what we're doing. And it's our responsibility to do that, and that's what we're doing.
So is it how many dollar total project?
I just, as a ballpark, I was throwing out about $500,000. Now, obviously, we're not doing it all at once. But
Well,
what we're doing,
what are you thinking over how many years?
what,
You thinking 5 years?
Okay, so what we did approve the other day, I think was $66,000, and that will put, first thing we have to, and we have our permitting already by them, already for the next 5 years is done, is a silt fence around it, and then, retention ponds to catch the runoff water, and then we can haul dirt in there over the next 5 years and spread that cost out to finish that project. Now, right now, Pingham Random House has enough dirt right there at the end of their building for a third of it, free. they've given us the dirt, you know, Mark Wallenberg, so, you know, getting that over there. But we have to have the fencing and the retention because it's more than an acre, so.
So the $100,000 buys the fencing.
The six, yeah, that and the first phase, which, you know, Mark keeps asking me, when are you gonna come get the dirt, you know, so getting that over there initially will be, you know, now if it takes another 3 or
So
4
is the
years.
city gonna
after
pay
that,
another 100 on top of that?
Pardon me?
City gonna pay another 100 on top of that?
They should, their agreements to pay half of the
Or
total.
they gonna pay 50 of this 100?
Well, it's
Trying to
no,
figure-
because right now we're at 66, and if we move a third of the dirt this coming year, we'll use that 100 grand. So that will get us fencing and the dirt from Random House over there, a third of it will be done. Jeremy's been hauling out there now that, you know, we have a plan and so we've got a bunch there and so, yeah, it's just, you know, that gives us a 5-year window to get it done.
Well, and then engineering capital road, there's a $200,000 increase. Goes from nothing to 200,000.
What that, Jeff can explain it, but that was actually entered incorrectly. I think we were doing something about the Cume Bridge, something.
Now, up above there, you had the previous year's Q Bridge repairs. You had 200,000, that's now 0. So that's basically just been relabeled to engineering for capital road improvement. Still going toward road projects, but we're trying to
It's the
segregate
same line.
Q Bridge and Q Bridge. Again, you know, using our most restricted assets. So yeah, that's more of just a retitle.
I don't think that we quite followed the rules there in the past. Not our fault. Not intentionally, I guess.
But, you know, you can pay Q Bridge expenses out of CCD. But there are other things you can spend CCD money on that you cannot on Q Bridge. And I don't think you could do the engineering capital road improvement out of Q Bridge unless they were specifically earmarked.
Allow so many feet inside.
So are there other highway funds that they can get that money from?
Honestly, that
I'm just
number's
looking at
been
this.
in there and we left it in there.
Okay, well, I'm
So-
just looking at this. My first statement when we were talking about this, all this road project, all this plan was, I look at your, what you put together, and there was no county general money. But now I'm looking at, it's mounted up.
That's a true statement. That 200,000 been in CCD.
But that's
What-
the CCD that
But you
What
just said that
isn't it
the engineering can't really be paid out of the CC.
engineering can be paid from the CCD. The Q Bridge repairs be assigned to the Q Bridge fund, because the Q Bridge fund, that line item in it, I believe, then said engineering capital roads, which we didn't think was appropriate to pay out Q Bridge. So it comes over here at that same amount of 200,000.